not.
Yeah.
So you know it's important. If you know you're Lynch, you know you're supposed to pay attention to something on here.
Yeah. Something big is coming in a couple of days. So that was all very, very cool. Loved all that stuff. That felt like real classic Twin Peaks to me. Kind of them visiting people, drinking coffee, opening clues, not really quite knowing what the hell's going on, but being very intrigued by it all. You know, it was great. And I love the way that they've tied Major Briggs into all these mysteries.
Yeah. Well, they've got that link with Bobby, so it's great that they're using that.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah, it's great, and you know, it's a very Twin Peaks thing. Even though the actor's died, the kind of ghost of this guy still.
Well, there's so many of them. I mean, we saw the log lady again. I know you're going to talk about that later, but it was just great to see the log lady again.
It really was, and again, that feels like quite a big moment. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, let's go on to that. I mean, Hawk. Then the next time we see Hawk is on the phone to the log lady, and she basically gives a message that's very kind of odd and but it sounds important. So I'll read what she says. She says, "Hawk, electricity is humming. You hear it in the mountains and rivers. See it dance among the seas and stars and glowing around the moon. But in these days, the glow is dying. What will be in the dark remains? The Truman brothers are both true. They are your brothers and the other good ones who have been with. Now the circle complete. Watch and listen to time and space. All comes out now. That which is and is not. Laura is." I mean, who knows? People have been decoding that on the internet.
I was going to say, if you know what that means, answers on a postcard to David Lynch, perhaps. Because I haven't got a clue. As you say, there's bits of it which I think I can work out. Yeah, but the actual whole message is just so head-scratchingly great.
I wonder if just basically, it's another sign of something is about to happen. Because the last time we saw the log lady, she was on the phone to Hawk saying, again, something confusing and ominous. And that was right before...
Well, that was before when he found the Laura Palmer diary bit, wasn't it? As well.
Yeah, and also it was literally just before Agent Cooper came out.
Right, of course, and,
I wonder if that means something mystical is going to happen. Again, you know, who knows? But again, it's all
I've just had an idea.
Just around the corner.
Just had an idea. What if it means Laura's coming out of the lodge?
Well, yeah, I mean that's a theory that a lot.
Have you seen that? I thought that was just my idea. Damn. Because this episode was called "Laura is the One." Which, you know, again, lots of people reading lots into the titles of each episode. Maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. You decide. But yeah, there is that, and of course, the one thing we do have is Sherilyn Fenn is alive and well.
Oh, totally. And we saw her in episode 1, didn't we, in the lodge? And also, what happens to her is she kind of gets beamed up.
Exactly.
In some weird way. In the exact same way that Dale Cooper got kind of beamed downwards when he got sent back to Earth. So, yeah. And then obviously there's all that stuff with episode 8 where she got fired into a map of the United States. That might not have happened in the past. That might
absolutely. We don't know.
So, yeah. So, you know, this could mean she'll come back. Yeah, she might.
I feel like we need like a 3-hour finale episode just to clear all this up, please, Mr. Lynch.
I know. Well, maybe in the next 8 episodes, maybe work as a nice 8-hour finale. That would be satisfying.
I'd be happy. I'd be happy.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's basically what goes on in terms of the police investigation in Twin Peaks. All quite interesting stuff, all leading to something potentially quite exciting. And then you've got these other sort of random residents of Twin Peaks that come and go throughout. Yeah. So first of all, there's Amanda Seyfried, who is Shelley's daughter, and her husband, who's this kind of just one of the many abusive psychopath men in Twin Peaks, it seems.
Leo version 2.
Yeah, basically. Who we see very briefly. They're in a trailer park and he's being pretty nasty.
I didn't even recognise that was Amanda Seyfried. I have to be honest.
Yeah. You barely see her.
Yeah.
But I recognise the two of them, and I recognise that actor from the last time they were together. And we see Harry Dean Stanton's character, who kind of owns that trailer park, who we've seen briefly already.
That's the trailer park where from Firewalk with Me, isn't it?
Yes, the one where Teresa Banks lived.
That's it.
She disappeared.
And the missing ring and all that, where all that comes from.
Yes, and what's his name? The FBI agent that was a terrible actor.
Chris Isaac. He wasn't that bad, was he? He was a better singer than actor, I'll give you that.
He was pretty terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, so he kind of sits there despairing as this guy shouts and throws a mug out the window. And again, throwing a mug of coffee out the window is not something
sacrilege in Twin Peaks.
Exactly. Just going to show how evil that husband must be.
If he threw out cherry pie as well, he'd be, public enemy number one.
That's it. He'd be Bob.
Well, pretty much, yeah.
So that's kind of all we see of those guys. Don't know what's going to become of them. Very odd. And then basically what we get is lots of different strands, all connected to the Horn family. We pretty much see across these 2 episodes every member of the Horn family, except the one that everyone wants to see.
Again, please, Audrey Horn, where are you?
Yeah. Still no sign of Audrey Horn, but we do see Audrey's brother, Johnny Horn. So this is her brother who had kind of special. We saw very briefly in seasons 1 and 2. First time we see him, he's running full pelt at a wall in season 3. And smashes his head in a really excruciatingly painful looking moment in episode.
And there's the brilliant part with the little teddy bear. Hello, Johnny. How are you? Hello, Johnny. How are you? And it's as we said with Lynch. It's that bit where, first of all, it's funny, then it's gone into that bit where it's annoying, then it's funny again, then it's annoying, and then it's funny again. Because it's so repetitive.
Totally. And it's classically that moment. So first of all, I should probably say, so then we see Richard Horn, who is the kind of really nasty piece of work who we saw earlier on in the season, basically assaults some women in the Roadhouse club, and then hit and run a small child, and so he's all a proper bad egg, this guy. Next time we see him, he's going into the caravan of a very nice lady who we saw briefly earlier on in the season, who actually witnessed it and run, and he basically takes care of her and kills her quite brutally and violently.
And then leaves it so that her gas is on, so it will obviously either the van will blow up or everyone will think she died of gas poisoning.
Exactly. And then he then makes his way to Johnny's
Well, no,
house,
hold on. There's one bit there, isn't there? She told him that he wrote a letter. She wrote a letter to Sheriff Truman, and he calls up his mate, who's the dodgy copper in the sheriff's office, and there's that bit with him and the bit in the bit where he goes into reception to intercept the mail.
Yes, I've completely forgot about
it's
that
quite
part.
important because we now know that he's got like an inside guy in the sheriff's office, which I think might come back later.
Yes. The guy who everyone hates, called Chet.
That's it.
Is in the police station.
Don't eat your lunch. Eat your lunch in the conference room, Chet.
Yeah, exactly. The one who basically everyone kind of used to hate, and it turns out he is a proper dirty cop.
Oh yeah,
and he is in alliance with Richard Horn. So Richard basically brutally murders this woman, leaves her with her oven gas leaking in her flat, calls this cop and says, "Get rid of the evidence, get rid of the letter." Then he makes his way to his grandmother's house and he calls her grandma. So this is how we know.
Have we ever seen her before because I don't remember seeing Ben Horn's wife before.
Yes, we did see her. That's
really
the same actress.
Wow.
Yeah.
When did we? I mean, not wishing to be too, but when did we see her? I really don't remember seeing her.
Yeah, we saw her in the very last episode of season 2, where Ben Horn gets his head smashed into the mantelpiece by Doc Hayward. When there's that whole story about
yes,
he might be Donna's dad.
Yes, I'd forgotten that. Well done.
And at the very beginning of season 1 as well, there's a dinner scene where they're all sat dinner and very quietly. And I think in the funeral scene as well, she's often with Johnny, kind of looking after me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we only see her very briefly. But anyway, she's back here and she's still living with Johnny and looking after him, but clearly not living with Ben. It seems as if they may have separated.
Yes.
Anyway, she's living in this house with Johnny. Johnny has just suffered this head injury, and now he's basically she's bandaged him up and she's tied him to a chair.
Yeah, and he's got like protection on his hands and on his head to stop him from kind of hurting himself.
Yeah, and he's sat opposite this talking teddy bear thing, which just says, "Yes, hi Johnny, how are you?" Or
hi Johnny, how are you?
Over and over again on a loop. And in this very bizarre moment, while this is going on, Richard Horn comes in and said, "Grandma, I need some money." Then basically attacks her, throws her to the floor, causes chaos, nicks all of her jewellery, her money, everything, and then leaves her and abandons her, basically. So again, just another indication that Richard Horn is pretty much evil incarnate, and if he is in some way Audrey's son, does that mean he's Dale Cooper and Audrey's son? I'm still thinking that's looking more and more likely.
Certainly, you would think that if he hasn't got any Bob in him, that he is Bob, because he's certainly acting in the sort of psychotic way that evil Agent Cooper has done. You know, randomly killing people, putting out hits. You know, he's got a plan. He's got a motive.
Yeah.
I really thought as well when Richard Horn Senior picked up the phone. I really thought that was going to be Audrey. I really thought that was going to be, "Hi, Dad. I need to talk to you about, you know, my brother." All those things. I really did. I didn't think it would be his ex-wife. But there you go.
I know. Everyone is on tender hooks, and Audrey is definitely back this season, so we're still waiting for it to happen. Again, that could be the thing that wakes up Dale Cooper. You know, all these little moments when he looks at shoes and stuff.
Yeah.
It could be that in the last episode, Audrey meets Dale Cooper, and that's how he wakes up.
Wouldn't that be good?
Well, it's very possible.
Be good, but then I'm not waiting another 25 years for Series 4.
No, bloody hell.
I'll be about 59. No, 69.
Plus, David Lynch will be long dead.
Well, that's true, yeah.
So let's hope that doesn't happen. So yeah, lots of weird stuff going on with the Horn family. Ben Horn, meanwhile, is still trying to figure out what this humming noise is in the hotel. There's almost an exact same scene as the one that happened.
Yeah, there was. It was weird.
Very weird. And he has a kind of moment with Beverly for him, and they nearly kiss, and then he sort of says, "I can't." So it's kind of a very brief scene that gives us an indication that Ben Horn has changed. I think he's somehow become a better man than he used to be, I think. And she says, "You're a good man, Ben Horn," you know.
I don't know whether it means he's become a better man. There was always a bit of strangeness about Ben Horn. There was always a kind of like, he did bad things, but he didn't seem like a bad person.
But he never had any qualm with sleeping with girls and having affairs.
Sure, but that didn't necessarily... I mean, like, there was obviously the whole thing where it could have been that he killed Laura Palmer. But he didn't.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there was always that part with, like, Ben Horn was shady, he had affairs, he was a dodgy businessman, but he wasn't a killer.
No, totally.
So there was always that kind of like... And then, of course, when he went mad and recreated the Civil War in his office. I loved that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, definitely. It's just, he was this kind of very... Like you say, it was this big shot businessman that took other people down quite ruthlessly. The way he was with Josie and Catherine, those characters, not to mention all of his prostitutes and the brothel that he owns.
Yeah.
He seems very much now, and we've not seen much of him, but it seems as though he's mellowed with age, I think. And I think that scene gives you that
legit, as it were.
He's got this beautiful woman coming onto him, and he says, "I can't do this." I think we're led to believe by that scene he's changed as well. But who knows? Maybe from having a grandson who's so evil has changed him.
Well, yeah,
who knows?
And we don't. Well, yeah. I mean, we don't know what connection. I know he's grandfather to grandson, but we don't know what interaction has ever been between Ben and Richard Horn.
Yeah. And, you know, if something really awful has happened to that a lot of people are, theorising, maybe, again, that had a rift on the whole Horn family, and maybe that's why the parents have split up, and Ben is not the same as he was.
And that's why his brother is seeing a talking shoe in the forest.
Yes, and then, completely... I mean, probably one of my least favourite strands in this series so far is Jerry Horn. Never one of my favourite characters in the original series either. Who basically... There's like one moment per episode of him doing something silly in the woods where he's high or stoned, and then, like, there's a moment when he talks to his foot, or there's a moment when he gets lost and doesn't know how to find his way home. And all these kind of... at the moment, at least, they feel very pointless moments.
Yeah, I suppose the only thing is he's in the forest. We know what lives in the forest. We know that the forest is a portal. So, I mean, in that sense, is he going to stumble upon... I mean, is he the one that's going to stumble upon the Laura Palmer that comes back from the White Lodge?
Yes, exactly.
That could happen. Because at the moment, I agree with you, I have no idea why he's there. But there must be a reason.
No.
It's a bit like the Dr. Jacoby storyline now. I'm now scratching my head. But there must be a reason. Because now we saw him again ranting about the government.
And this time we got a glimpse of Nadine, didn't we? Which was quite
and
nice.
her,
I still want more Nadine.
Her blind shop.
Yes,
brilliant.
Yes, she finally owns a silent drape running.
But where is Norm?
Just fantastic.
Is it Norm, her husband?
Ed.
Where is Ed? Because it's Norm Macdonald is the actor. Where is Ed?
Yeah.
Again, I need him. He was all over the previews. When they did when they did the interviews with the cast that I saw before this came out, he was like one of the main talking heads. No pun intended.
Well, we still don't know yet whether Ed is still married to Nadine, whether Ed is married to Norma.
Yeah.
We don't know what the situation is.
He might not even be in Twin Peaks, I suppose.
He must be, though, because like you say, he was in all the promotion. He is going to pop up at some point.
Sure, but I would have thought he'd been a more major character. But I suppose he still could be. But for me, he was always kind of like the very calming influence on the first season.